Hello, everybody. This is your psychic Christine Wallace, and in celebration of Halloween, us three, Sailee, Caroline, and I have decided to talk about demons and ghosts and bad energies and all of that. And like I said, it's me, Caroline, and Sailee here. So hello, Caroline. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Hi, Christine.
Thank you,
Hope you're
Sailee.
doing well.
I'm doing well. Thank you, Sailee, for being here. Thank you both. I appreciate that very much. So, the history, a lot of people want to know, I think, what is a bad spirit? What is a negative energy? What is the history? Why do they exist? And what do they want from us? So first I'd like to just go ahead and start with Caroline. So Caroline, tell me about some of the experiences that you've already had with the spirit realm.
So, my experiences with the spirit realm has actually occurred in a close circle, in my family circle. I would notice energy coming forth when people were under the effect of alcohol or other drugs, and the person would become completely different and the energy in the room would shift. And these are pretty much the first experience that I've had with outside entities or spirits, and it's really noticeable because the person doesn't become someone else. So that shift really made me question what was going on exactly,
of course.
and do plenty of research.
Well, what happens, demons and bad spirits and bad energies, in my experience, have always messed with people when they are at their most vulnerable state. For example, if they're going through depression, if they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, that's even against their own morals or standards. And for example, alcohol or drugs does put a human being in a weakened state that a demon or a bad spirit can definitely exploit the person. And in doing so, that's why a lot of their relationships and stuff end up getting destroyed, because that is the objective of the bad energy, the bad spirit, the demon, whatever you want to call it. So Sailee here just did a house cleansing today. So tell our listeners and us more about your understanding of demons and bad spirits.
Yeah, so I call them like dark energies. I believe they do exist. So just like we can put our positive energy and willpower and manifest something positive, so it's why can't somebody just put it in the opposite direction and manifest that, right? Like when people talk about black magic and stuff.
Yes.
So it does exist, but I tell people not to really worry about it, because you can always do something about it, and you have light within you as well, and darkness cannot coexist with light anyways. So as long as you believe that you have that, you are strong light, that doesn't affect. Then in my space clearing projects, I see usually people start seeing like shadows somewhere, or even while they're sleeping. That is also one of
vulnerable time. Sure.
Yeah, because you're asleep, you're not aware, and then that is when they're come. Especially if you have mirrors in your bedrooms, then that is like a mirror is like a portal to the astral world.
To the other
and
side.
Yeah. So so I see that. So when people are sleeping, that is when they feel somebody touching them. I personally have felt something while I was sleeping as well. During the daytime, I pretty much I guard myself very well, but in the sleep sometimes I feel that.
Right. I actually know families that so many family members stay up all night while the rest of the families are sleeping so that everyone is kind of safe. So there's always someone awake watching what's happening. And I've definitely had some experiences during my sleep as well, where I would feel someone getting into the bed with me, and I thought it was my husband, and then I would turn, and that happened many times.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and there's no one there. I would really literally hear the footsteps happening, and you know when you feel somebody coming into the bed to the point that I was even awake.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, okay, nobody there. Okay, so, and I would even see shadow spirits in the night. One time I was sleeping in bed and my leg was kind of hanging over the bed, kind of over the end. And then pow, a spirit slapped my foot.
Yeah. A lot of people feel
Yeah.
heaviness in their chest, like somebody's pressing on their chest while they're sleeping. That I have heard that a lot.
Yeah,
So-
mostly when there are demons around or like bad spirits, then they're gonna make you like put a person through like a paralysis that feels like a tremendous fear.
Yeah.
And people think that they're so scared that they can't scream or they can't talk or they can't move. But that's happening because this is like a power that they're taking advantage of us and making us feel that way.
Yeah.
And when something like that happened to me once in my life many years ago, I was only like 17 when it happened. When I started getting upset because I was being taunted by this demonic spirit, and my anger of it taunting me made me kind of snap out of it, and I was able to break free from that paralysis and actually started rebuking that demon at the time. And it worked, and then suddenly, you know, it just disappeared. But yes, I've had many experiences, especially with the clients that I work with that definitely feel like a negative energy or a dark spirit. And what happens is that I'll go through like this whole cleansing with them and place a barrier of protection around them depending on what type of spirit it is, because there are different kinds. There are shadow spirits, there are peaceful ghosts, there are angry ghosts, there are hungry ghosts, and then there are demons that never had a human form. And the demons that never had a human form are actually fallen angels. These are what we know to be demonic. They've been banished from the heavens. In the book of Enoch, which is biblical, God punished these angels for having sex with women and bearing children that were actually giants. And right after that was Noah's Ark, and that's why it all got destroyed. But God did not, basically the angels tried to recreate something that God did not approve of. And God punished all of them. So the giants were called the Watchers, and those damned angels are in fact what evil spirits are. And the book of Enoch was actually removed from the Bible when the whole church was more of a government body. When they were, it didn't serve them at the time to allow that book in the Bible that we all know. But the good news, just like Sailee said, there is a way to get rid of them depending on what kind of spirit you're dealing with. It's going to require usually a different method. So, Carolyn, you were saying that you were got into a class recently about demonology?
I got it into a class about spirit releasement therapy. The professor is Mark Beal, and he created Past Life Awakening Institute. So I got the course through him, And it was pretty much walking me through the process of spirit releasement therapy. The first steps being identifying what kind of spirit is attached to the client, and then processing to the releasement therapy method, and then following with therapy, which is very important because as you were saying earlier, Sailee, you said during sleep we can be vulnerable. There's other times in our life where we can be vulnerable and create openings in our aura. It could be through a violent accident, or it could be when we are feeling depressed, or it could be when we are doing drugs or addicted to substances, or even playing magic games and trying to communicate with spirits. There is a lot of reasons why we might have an opening in our aura, which would be an entry point for external spirits to enter our
Family
body.
conflict
Also a
as
big one.
well.
Yes.
And then sometimes we can all be like completely, doing all of the right things, and sometimes end up in a haunted house.
Yeah, spaces can be
Spaces can be haunted. Objects can be cursed and
Yes.
haunted.
yes.
Yeah.
There's a
So-
lot that we don't know. And actually spirit attachments are way more common than we think. And so the three different types, but there are so many different types of spirits. The three different types that my course focused on, and what I'm going to focus on in spirit releasement therapy, are the first one is the earthbound spirits, so that the one you call as ghosts. They had an incarnation before, and they just did not follow the light at their time of death. So they got either stuck in the world of the living, or decided not to follow the light because they didn't deserve it, or they felt that they had something to accomplish before joining the light.
Before dying.
So these are the earthbound spirits, and usually when we go through the releasement process, they are pretty agreeable, and they accept quite fast to return to the light. They're usually lost, confused, didn't know what they were doing at the time, and they're not
Right.
doing good to the vehicle because it's really impairing the person having an incarnation. And they're not doing well either because they're very limited in that body, that vehicle.
Right, and I had been working with some clients who were having these earthbound spirits that you're talking about, and a lot of the times the person that passed didn't know they had passed. And sometimes just letting them know that they've passed, because they find themselves stuck and being angry and like kind of sometimes creating like poltergeists, throwing things around, whatever is out of frustration.
Yes.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like bad or mean to harm anybody. They're just kind of lost and wanting help or attention.
Sure, like you said, most of them didn't realize they were dead, and maybe their death were so sudden and violent that they didn't even realize that they were not part of the living.
That's
So,
usually
yeah.
how it happens.
Yeah.
If there was like an accident or something was
Yeah.
so sudden. You said you were working with 3 types though. So
Yes,
one
so
was the
second
earthbound
type,
ghost.
The second type is the dark force entities, and these are the demons, the ones you call the demons. They weren't incarnated prior to the attachment, and I believe they're deceived, they're delusional, and they believe they are made of darkness and they work for the dark masters. And so they will try to do anything to scare you, and they will use the vehicle in every way they can to their advantage without keeping in mind the negative repercussion they could have on the living. So through the regression, through the releasement therapy process, we can help them to convince them that they are made out of light. We can help them realize that at the deep core within them there is a little bit of light, and the masters that they're working for lied to them, and their place is with the light. So that's one big work we can do with them. And this third category is the extraterrestrials. Sometime they put devices on the person body, could be on the physical level, but also on the more subtle body's level, and they are here to monitor the humans. So, but it's no matter what kind of spirit we're facing, it is a violation of a universal law. It is a violation of a right to have one soul for one body only. And vehicles are not meant to be shared, and we are entitled to have our soul just in our body, and we are entitled to have a body that we can call ours. So this is the reason for this whole releasement therapy.
A sense of autonomy.
Yeah, it's beneficial for the soul who has an attachment and the spirits who attach to them.
Well, that's the first time I've ever heard that there was light in a demon, because I have never...
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Oh, I guess that's Alexa. Alexa, stop. I never had that kind of experience. Anything that I've ever dealt with, as far as when I saw it was a demon, it was a demon. There was no light in that demon at all. It was only out to avenge or to cause trouble, and basically the objective of the demon was to steal that person's light or to steal their energy, whether it be out of jealousy because they have a life, or whether it be to just create destruction for the sake of feeling alive or feeling like they in fact exist.
Yeah.
And getting that kind of attention from human beings, or just very simply to defile any goodness, anything godly, anything heavenly, anything light, anything with a good agenda, because if the light and the goodness, the light and the dark cannot coexist like that, then it's going to want to drain out the light.
Yeah, they usually believe, it's actually called the three deceptions. They believe that the light will weaken them, and they believe if they get too close to the light, it will destroy them completely.
That is true.
And it's through that releasement therapy, it's really to really show show the light and put the light on their core. Where do they come from? And from them, if they realize that they have even a tiny little speck of light deep down, surrounded by all the darkness and all the bad things that they think they are, and all the shadows, then
it sounds like banishing the negative through the light. Coming into the person and switching a light switch will banish the darkness. So I think we're all doing that. In healing and helping people. So Sailee, do you have any experiences or any history in relation to any demonic spirits, or any knowledge to share with our listeners? And with us?
I personally haven't experienced that in my life, but I have, when I go check the homes, when people call me to sense the energies, then I sense different kinds of dark energies. And the way we deal with them is that we work with the universal life force and the guardian home of the home. So every home has the intelligence. There's a guardian that is always there protecting the house, and it's aware of everything that's going on in the house, and sometimes just need somebody to just trigger that process. So they are willing to help you. So with their help, and then with the help of the universal life force, we send these spirits or demons and any dark energies to the light. So and we tell them that it is for their highest good. So it's not going to be nobody's taking anything away from them. So it is a collective intention that it's for everybody's highest good, for the people living in the house, and obviously the healer, the guardian, and the energy itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is everybody thinking about possession?
well,
Does anybody have any thoughts about that, or feelings about that, or if that even is real?
like The Exorcist type of
Like The
possession.
Exorcist, yeah.
Yeah, I think to me it goes back to those dark force entities who take over. It's if you ask them to talk and make sounds and express themselves, they'll growl and shout and curse at you, and it's the Exorcist is one of the example that my teacher gave to portray what the dark force entities are capable of doing.
Absolutely,
it is
they're
pretty scary.
very powerful.
They can be very violent. They can be very aggressive.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but The Exorcist was in fact a true story.
Yes.
But only it didn't happen to a little girl, it happened to a little boy.
Okay.
I think it was somewhere in Massachusetts, maybe. I think it was somewhere like that. But yeah, so you're saying that it's like, I feel like these other things that we're talking about have been like demons, like or bad spirits in the house, or attached to a person but not taking a person over. So I believe very much that that is possible.
Yes.
I think it's more rare, but it also does happen, and I also believe that this happens. And if you notice, like, it's happening to, and my husband and I were just talking about this a little earlier today, it's always happening with kids, like doing like puberty, or when they're questioning themselves, or teenagers, or like, because they're yet again at their most vulnerable state. It happens less to grown adults where they're kind of set in their ways. The only time I've ever seen that kind of thing happening with adults is again when they're doing something wrong or against their own belief system.
Also, when they have some trauma from the past that they are not able to digest or not come to terms with, sometimes, like in India, we see that these women who are tortured by their in-laws, like really made to work too much, and then it's not fed.
I've seen that.
Not fed, and then suddenly a lot of them are possessed with this energy, and they start acting like, so usually they'll be just very shy sitting in the corner, but suddenly now they are like
They're
out
exploding.
there, really exploding, and then everybody is scared of them, and then everybody's like worshipping them, offering something to them to like calm down.
Right.
But all of these women, the one thing consistent with them that they were really tortured by other people, and one day it's just so maybe they were so weak that it was easier to get hold of their soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Opening
exactly.
and
See,
creating,
now, a lot of people would say there's a logical explanation for that. Like, if you're so weak, then naturally, people are going to take advantage of someone with such low self-esteem. But also, in the same regard, bad spirits will also take advantage of someone with such low self-esteem.
Yes.
So that's why a big part of the work that I do, and why I've also, wanted us to collaborate, is to help people kind of lift that confidence, lift that self-esteem, and offer these multiple healing modalities. Because in what I believe is, it's not only one thing that a person needs when they're experiencing such dark and negative energy. It's always going to be a combination of things.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And if we can turn them into a practice, and really in healing sessions on a regular basis, and really turning towards whatever resonates with us, combining different modalities, that's when we're really strengthening our aura, strengthening our being, and connecting us to the divine essence within ourselves, where no shadow can penetrate.
Exactly. So, I have been working as a demonologist for many, many years, like over 30 years now. Sounds like you're starting to learn about demonology.
Yes.
And what would you call what it is that you do in...
We call it space clearing.
So you're mainly working with homes.
I work with home, with the spirits and dark energy. So people usually approach me if they are seeing something like shadows and some suspicious things happening in the house, or if they are like they just moved into a place and suddenly the relationships are falling apart, and so they feel something is wrong with the energy. That is when I work with them. But even with my one-on-one clients, I've seen that people come to me, they're like, somebody's done black magic on me, and then that is why everything is going wrong. So I work with those people as well to really cleanse them and empower them to step into their light and know that if you feel powerful enough, then no energy can really affect you, and also create protection around them,
Right.
so they can be safe going
Have you
forward.
ever had an experience with someone or a client that came in to see you that they thought that it's black magic, and then you found out, no, it's not that, it's something else?
I there was a client who came to me. She was told that it was black magic, but it was when I worked with her for a few sessions. I figured that it was so when she went to all these other people, they couldn't tell who has done that. They said there is a lady that's done it, but they just couldn't trace like to her
Specifically.
Yeah, and when
right.
I was working with her, I figured that it was not a lady from this life, it was lady from some past life.
Yes, that happens.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she was her best friend in that life, and she lost her husband very young, and in their culture the widows were not supposed to remarry. So when my client started to get married, she kind of like, she didn't want her, she got jealous, she didn't want her to get married.
Yes, I
and so
understand.
she cast that spell on her, like, you know, that and that was still being carried over to this lifetime.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big deal, the past life
Yeah.
stuff.
They
So
can
that-
get carried away
yeah.
for hundreds of years,
Yes.
thousands of years even.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Until it's
this lady,
broken.
she's like very beautiful. She's like very rich. She has her job. Everything is fine. She's like 40 plus, but still just cannot get married. And the guys come to her. They get attracted to her, but then something goes wrong, and it
it's
doesn't
always
come
falling
through.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I see a lot of people with that problem too. They're always getting like close to what they want, and then when they're feeling the most confident and secure that everything is good, that's when somebody or something pulls the rug
Yeah.
from under them.
Yeah.
That's how you know. You know, we all have difficult times in life. You know, all of us are suffering in some form or way, but I always tell people the way to know that something more is happening than just kind of regular challenging life is when, like you mentioned, everything is going wrong suddenly. That's a sign when
Yeah.
there's too many bad things happening all like one after another, like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Or if, let's say, the period of time that it's lasting is going on a year, 2 years, 3 years. Well, I'd say anything that goes on longer than a year and you've tried everything that you can to try to fix it by yourself and it's not working, then there's something more happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know what the reason is, but right now a lot of people are starting to embrace spiritual solutions much more these days than they have in the longest time. I think that we've been going through a lot of trouble, especially in this country and in the world, that so many people are just, you know, okay, like we've done so much, but things are not getting better. Things are not changing. Things are not moving. And this is why I say, you know, even if you're a skeptic, that's okay. We're all dealing with people that are skeptic in the work that we do, but try it once. And it doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It's always a matter of what's working and what's not working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just do whatever it is that is working for you.
Yes.
If it isn't working, then you have to stop and you have to think about, doing something else.
Yes.
Trying something else. So anything else that you girls would like to share on this podcast episode? How about some advice that we can give people to protect their space or protect their life, or any instructions that they can follow?
Yeah, I would say if someone is dealing with depression or just feeling down, affirmations are very powerful, or mantras, just to bring that into our life and use it as guidance, as a reminder that we can use our voice and words, and they are vibration and they are part of creation, and so affirmations are really helpful. And other ones are just good healthy habits, good sleep, healthy food, walk in nature.
Walking in nature is a good one. Sometimes you have to shift things around, make changes in your life, positive changes. For example, I like to keep salt in the corners of my home to keep it protected from any bad energies or bad spirits going into the corners. Smudging the home, I think, is really important, like maybe once a month or something like that. Affirmations, there's power in prayer. And also surrounding yourself in your home with light, with life.
Yes.
Also, like fresh flowers, plants, your pet. Having life in your environment is always good. And this keeping things clean and neat, or sometimes moving the furniture around, excuse me, can also shift the energy as well.
Completely. Keeping it organized, clean, opening the windows and the curtains, give it some nice airflow. Entities like stagnant air, and they like darkness.
Stagnancy.
Even the clutter.
Exactly. The clutter, they sometimes hide in the clutter.
Yes.
For some reason, I don't know why, but they're very drawn to that.
Yeah.
Severe people are hoarding on to a lot of stuff that they don't need in their garages. Just get rid of it, because it's just too much energy, a lot of heaviness through that. And even for cleansing, so salt is definitely has the power to disintegrate the negative energy, so you could actually use salt water to clean, mop the floors and even the windows. That also helps.
Lemons on the mirrors do help as well.
Yeah.
So this is just some advice and guidance and some sharing with all of you that are listening to this podcast today. And I want to thank you so much for joining in. And I also want to thank Sailee and Caroline for being here. Thank you, girls.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I want all of you to have a very happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.